Hey everybody, we're on to our dessert course, the final course of the night. For this course, Chef wanted to go real classic with a real classic dessert from Portugal. So it's the pastéis de nata, and it's got a real nice buttery puff pastry and a custard base inside. We're really excited to show this one off to y'all. And then we also picked some, once again, we had started with port and Madeira at the very beginning. I had mentioned earlier we wanted to bring it full circle and finish with port and Madeira. So we've got different port, different Madeira. So I'd like Brandy to talk about those a little bit more.
Sure. I mean, both of these wines are going to pair spectacular with the Pastis de Nata, but they're just so different. So, the port that we have today, it's the Graham's Six Grapes River Quinta, and it's a ruby port. So whenever you think about ports, you basically have two different styles. You have your ruby ports, which are in oak for usually anywhere between like 2 years and maybe 5 years, retains a lot of the freshness. And then you have tawny ports, which are like 10 years to infinite years, right? And they're aged in oak, so they get more of like caramel components and nutty components. And it was really hard to whittle it down to just these two for the dessert because having the tawny ports is so much fun. But we decided to go with the Madeira to give you a little bit more variety and maybe something that you don't have very often. But some of you may be very familiar with the Graham's Six Grapes. This is a notch above the Six Grapes. This is coming from a very small parcel that's closer to the river in the Douro Valley. And it's interesting, whenever you're in the Douro Valley of Portugal, you find all of these orange trees that are planted and grown on the river. And so there's an interesting kind of like an orange zest component whenever you put your nose in the glass for the Six Grapes River Quinta. The majority of it is the Touriga Franco, which we kind of talked about being similar to Merlot. So like it adds a lot of velvety characteristics to it. And it's just a little bit like just softer. The aromatics are just gorgeous. So, I mean, it's just beautiful. And whenever you think about the Douro Valley, it's interesting that like all of the vineyards are rated like either an A vineyard, B, or C. I mean, we can all kind of relate to that, but the A vineyards are going to be the best. And the Symington family, they only own A vineyards. And so the different regions within the Douro Valley where ports are produced and where the wines are produced, you've got the Cima Corgu, the Baixa Corgu, and the Douro Superior. The Cima Corgu is in the center. And then you've got the Douro Superior, which is closer to Spain. And that's where the majority of those A vineyards are. And that's where the Symington family has like the Grahams, Quintas. Symington family also owns Dows. They own Coburns, Quinta de Vesuvio. So a lot of the very, very prestigious names. But whenever you're drinking this product, it's only 3 years in oak and keeps that vibrance. And I mean, it's just got such beauty to it, I think. Just like that chocolate covered cherry, raspberry. So that's going to be one experience with the Pastis de Nata. The other experience is this 2004 Malmsey. So different types of aging with the Madeira. They'll either come from a single harvest, like the 2004, or like the Cercial that we started with, which is a 10-year. So whenever they say 10-year, it's more of a blended 10-year. They take 3 different vats and they'll blend them to perfection and really trying to get that consistency from year to year. And kind of like champagne, like the champagne house style. That's what they're looking for whenever they're doing something that's more blended. With the 2004 coming from a specific year, they're picking up on all of the specific characteristics that came from that year. So they choose the best of the best to go into the colheita, which also means just single harvest. And so whenever you're tasting this, it's like toffee, caramel. I mean, it just has those components that are deep. There's a little bit, I think, coffee to it as well. But what's unique about Madeiras is that the varietals are white wine varietals. So that Cercial, Verdelho, Boal, and Malmsey, all white grapes. Whereas with ports, they're red grape varietals. But those white grapes that come from the island are a little bit more higher acidity. So you're going to feel, you're going to salivate a little bit more whenever you taste this Malmsey. And just like with the Cercial, it's racy, even though it's sweet. And so with that super creamy pastis de nata, that custard, these are going to cut right through it, and you'll just, ready your palate for more.
Exactly.